Where to begin? I mean really, the lies that are being told by a supportive YouTube are astounding, and here is an example. The title of the video was, Biden falls off of the stage, and guess what? He didn't fall off of the stage, he tripped over his own clogs and stumbled a tad, but he in no way, shape, or form fell off of the stage. Hi folks, I hope this video finds you well, and today I want to address liars, and their fruit being the lies they tell due to their need for attention. As well, they are insecure, with their insecurities laying witness against them, with every falsehood uttered by them and their lonely selves. My friends, what does the Bible say about lies and liars? I ask you, what was the first lie ever told and who told it? Well, for those of you always 2 steps ahead of me, you're right, Satan was the first liar, and this is the lie that he told to Eve, in the Garden of Eden, concerning eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, found in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. Well, we know that she did in fact die, and will die the second death, as she, her husband Adam and their children, save Abel and Seth, mongrelized with the decadent offspring of Satan, with Adam and Eve being the first to sin with the foul liar himself, being Santana the deceiver, 2 verses later, in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. We're all adults here folks, and we know that Satan was not a serpent or snake offering Eve an apple. My friend's sex was being talked about. So we know Satan was the first liar, and speaking of lies, what did Jesus say to Satan's offspring, yea his seed, around 4,000 years later, found in John chapter 8 and verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it. Folks, the word lie is Strong's word number G5579, with the G denoting a Greek word, and the Greek word for lie is eudaje, pronounced pseudos, and means a conscious and intentional falsehood. My friends, a lie is that which is not the truth, and by way of implication is treachery, and we know that treachery is a betrayal of trust, and folks, do we not trust people to tell us the truth? I mentioned earlier that people lie for attention, and people who lie repeatedly often have a desire to be in control, with those people called in some circles, compulsive liars, yea even pathological liars. Here are 10 professions whereas compulsive liars fit right in, and feel the most comfortable. As we can imagine, number 1 is a politician, as they lie like rugs for their own bread and butter, longevity, and attention. Here are the rest: lawyers, car salespeople, telemarketers, advertising agents, stockbrokers, business executives, lobbyists, automobile mechanics, and last but certainly not least, real estate agents. My friends, if I had a job that involved lying, I'd quit it, and in fact I have quit some jobs as I refused to lie for the owner, or the boss, as I just could not lie, as there are grave consequences for lying, and I dare not risk my eternity for attention, for a paycheck, nor for any other reason, and on a personal note, I cannot stomach a liar. So I ask you, is lying a sickness? Those who are quicker on the draw than myself, answer that question in the negative, as it may not be a sickness per se, but it certainly is a personality disorder. They go on to say that pathological lying is listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, although only as a symptom of other disorders suffered, such as antisocial thoughts and behavior, narcissistic personality disorder, and other histrionic personality disorders, not as a standalone diagnosis, but being linked to. Now that we have lying addressed by the lab coats, why do people lie when they don't have to? As earlier stated, some people who lie repeatedly often have a desire to be in control. When the truth of a situation doesn't agree with such control, they produce a lie that conforms to the narrative they desire. Such people may also worry they won't be respected if the truth can leave them looking poorly. Let's get back to people lying on YouTube, my so beloved familiars here. They say YouTube is a form of social media, with social media being defined as interactive technologies that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, interests, and other forms of expression through virtual communities and networks. Folks, independently, media itself is the main means of mass communication, i.e., broadcasting, publishing, and the internet, and it can be looked at as a bridge connecting people and ideas, and when the word social is applied, it distinguishes between, say, professional, administrative, managerial, etc. Although those entities may use that bridge, it speaks more so to people, or peeps, or relating to society in general. So why would someone get on a bridge linking people and ideas, just to muck it up with lies, especially when they know their lies will be found out as soon as those lies are held up against the truth found in facts? If the truth ends up busting them, why lie in the first place? My friends, it's because they just don't care, for various reasons. It concerns them not that they will be called a liar by you or anyone else, and that in and of itself is a mental disorder. There is a lie circulating here on the tube, as of late, and it is told that we are running out of diesel. Folks, the truth is, while inventories of diesel and gasoline are lower than they historically have been, the tight supply of diesel fuel is no cause for panic, and the US is not going to run out of it, according to energy market experts. So who would start that lie, and for what reason? My friends, as with anything and everything else in this pig, it all has to do with money, and when one wants to raise prices on X, Y, or Z, they say that there is a shortage of that commodity, and a perfect example is water. But if looked at using the good eye, 3/4 of the earth is water, and though it is salt water, we have the technology to remove the salt content, rendering that water drinkable. Folks, I'm going to change horses in midstream, which will help to explain this next question: are the demon infected and infested out of their minds? Folks, we know that Satan is the god of this world, and he has spirits helping him rule, and the Jews questioned Jesus about such demons, and he, Jesus, was even accused of casting out demons, with the help of Beelzebub himself, with Beelzebub being called in Ta Biblia, the prince of the devils. Matthew chapter 12 and verse 24. But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, "This fellow doth not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub the prince of the devils." How absurd is that? I mean, really folks, that is quite the stretch of the imagination, to say the least. Let's talk demons, folks. Matthew chapter 12 and verses 43 through 45. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out, and when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished. Then goeth he, and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. My friends, what could that possibly mean? Please allow me to share my take found through study. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Dry places is the key in this instance, as the human body is 60% water, so over half of our makeup is water, or fluid, or can be considered home to the same, with home following suit nicely, with these verses. Folks, the demon spirits leaves the fluidity found in humans, and when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. This tells us that the demon, or demon spirit, cannot exist outside of a human host. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out, and when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished. My friends, Jesus was saying that the demon might leave the host, but returns back to where it felt alive, content, and where it had purpose. Then goeth he, and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. Or in other words, then the demon spirit goeth back into the host, either that host which it left, or another new host, and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, the same which are also out searching for a host, and they enter in and dwell there, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. My friends, we know that means the state of that man with 7 new evil spirits is worse than when there was only a single demon occupying, even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. Folks, if the good eye is applied, we know that the generation being spoken to is the final generation, the same that will experience the terrible day of the Lord, and Israel is not left out when speaking to demons, as Jesus showed them, and all others to see, that Jesus had a certain ease and authority over the power of Satan and other demons, as he cast them out with a word, and has freed many people from demon oppression. Folks, on this day, many people came unto Jesus, as to hear and see him, Mark chapter 3 and verses 10 and 11. For he had healed many, insomuch that they pressed upon him for to touch him, as many as had plagues, and unclean spirits, when they saw him, fell down before him, and cried, saying, Thou art the Son of God. My friends, it is told, yea, even devils believe, James chapter 2 and verse 19. Thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well, the devils also believe, and tremble. They know what we know, yet they will not pronounce him with their lips. In closing, folks, returning to liars and their fruit, this is what Ta Biblia says to and about them. Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 9. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. My so beloved adjacents here, that verse tells us that their lies will one day catch up with them, and they shall be handed their comeuppances, and while remaining in the same vein, Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 22. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. As we head for the door, folks, from this distant meet, you are a new creature, Colossians chapter 3 and verse 9. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds. And on that note, rejoice the new man, while seeking the face of our Father, and I pray you be well, stay strong, and I thank you so much for listening, my friends.